Hey friends, Jill here. Welcome back to Whispering Willow Farm. Today is a very special day to me personally, to my family, to Nathan. It's a day that we have participated in for many years, and I wanted to just spend today bringing awareness on this. I've also in my last few videos been expressing more about how we are environmentally cautious and the things that we do to reduce waste. I have been getting asked a lot of questions on how we reduce single-use plastics, what that looks like. And so one, I really appreciate your engagement. That's really awesome. And I thought, what a better day than Earth Day. Today is Earth Day. Then to talk to you guys about what we do and why it is important. And so that is what this entire video is going to be about. Just talking about Earth Day, what it actually is. I know a lot of you guys may not be familiar with that. And then how we reduce single-use plastics in our home, in the hope that if you are on the other end of this and you're wanting to do this, but it seems so overwhelming, here are some practical, functional things you guys can do. And I think the biggest thing that I want to get across, and I will definitely touch on this in more detail later in the video, is it's not an all or nothing thing. It's not like one day you're going to decide that you want to reduce single-use plastics in your home and then you change over everything. You probably are just unaware of how much single-use plastic that is being used, because that's just what happens when you start becoming aware of it and you want to start transitioning those things. I had that moment of total overwhelm when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to switch over all of our single-use plastic. This is too much. And so I had the approach of, I'm going to take this one step at a time, one day at a time, and know that that one change makes a difference. And so that is my hope, is that at the end of this video, you will not feel overwhelmed. You will feel encouraged just to find that one thing that you can do to make a difference. So first of all, happy Earth Day to all my fellow crunchy folks who have been celebrating this day. And for those of you who are watching this video and you are like, Earth Day, what is that? So Earth Day is on April 22nd. It is an event that started, an annual event that started back in 1970s. And essentially what it is a day to bring awareness for environmental protection. So a lot of different communities, a lot of different states, they go all out. Earth Day is a huge deal. They hold parades, they do events, there's fairs, there's museums. I'm in a very rural part of Arkansas, okay? I'm gonna be completely honest, a lot of people here probably have no idea that Earth Day is even marked on their calendar, and there's just not a huge emphasis for that type of movement where I live. And so I don't have any types of fairs I can go to, or parades or events, demonstrating, Earth Day and bringing awareness to it. So what I do is I use my voice, because it's really important. And so for the last 5 or 6 years, I have just got on my social media platforms. I have brought awareness of the day and given some, few practical tips and advice on how we can be more eco-friendly and things like that. And so I do want to encourage you, maybe you're watching this and you've never heard of Earth Day and you go to start looking it out and there's no events in your area and you get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. You be the voice. And I'm a huge proponent. I know I talk to a lot of different people, right? And you always have the people who think, my one voice can make a difference. And then on the opposite end of that, you have a set of people who think, well, it's just one voice. Does it really make a difference? Now, if you guys have been following my channel for any period of time, you know that I am a huge believer that one voice matters. And so if you are in an area where maybe this isn't readily available to you, maybe you don't have, places where you can go and get information about this. Maybe there's not parades or fairs going on that are promoting this. You be that voice. You bring awareness in your community, because I think there is so much value in that. Now, you guys know, before I start dabbling into this even more, this is something that I am extremely passionate about. However, I am a lover and not a fighter. So if this video doesn't appeal to you, that's okay. I don't think that if you're not doing these steps, that you're a bad person, that you don't care about our planet. Absolutely not. This is just honestly an area of conviction that I have had really strong feelings about for probably the last 8 years or so. And over the last 6 or 7 years, I've been very conscious of trying to replace these things, and it's just because of a personal conviction that I have. I have family members who don't have the same beliefs and viewpoints as me, and that doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't mean that they don't care about the environment. They just have passions in other areas. So if your passion isn't this, find what your passion is. Hone in on that. Really just whatever it is you have passion for is worth pursuing. And for me, this is something that I have been passionate about for a long time. I have pursued it for many years, and I'm just to a point now where I'm trying to bring more awareness on it. But I want you guys to know I come in peace. This is not a, oh, you have to do this. If you're not doing this, you're wrong. I completely do not think that. You guys know, do what you can with what you have. And if this isn't something that you feel passionate about, find what does spark your joy and chase after that wholeheartedly. All right, without further ado, let me kind of tell you how I told you that Earth Day originated in 1970, and it was a senator from Wisconsin called Gaylord Nelson. He really just became aware of some of the things that were going on in the environment in his area, and so he went to a local college and got with a bunch of students that were young activists, is what they were, environmental activists, and they were raising awareness. And essentially, they started doing, they would go to these colleges and start teaching about it. And then it became passed as an actual day. They changed it to Earth Day. The day itself isn't, how do they come up with April 22nd? It fell between their spring break and something else going on at their college. So they just did it to where there would be a break where they would have access to a lot of students that could come out into this event based off of the schedule with their college, which I thought it's really cool when you research this stuff and figure out, well, like, who came up with this and what sparked it? And how come it falls on April 22nd? So there's a lot more history on that. If you guys want to dig into it, you can definitely dig into it. But it originated in 1970. And the cool thing now is that there are over 1 billion people who participate in Earth Day. There's over 193 countries who bring awareness to this every single year, which that's a huge impact, you guys. I just think that that is really, really stinking awesome. And the fact that I'm able to sit here and bring awareness to this on this day, it's really special to me, and I'm really proud. I started taking this transition after I had Charlie. I became a lot more aware of what I was bringing into my house, what I was eating, what I was putting on our bodies, and what we were doing as a whole, whether that had a positive or a negative effect on the environment. And so when Charlie was really little, I just started researching a ton, and I started figuring out things we could do. And as I researched, I became really unhappy with some of the things I was doing, and having that conversation with Nathan, I love that man to death. He has always just been a huge supporter. I remember when I came to him and told him I wanted a cloth diaper, at first he was like, absolutely not. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do my research. And so I started doing my research, and I brought to him, you know, the facts on disposable diapers versus cloth diapers. And when I brought him that information and that research, and I let him kind of do his own assessment, then we reevaluated, and he was like, okay, absolutely, yes. And we knew that it was going to be more work. We knew it was going to be something that we were going to have to get accustomed to, because it is not as convenient as a disposable diaper, but we felt really compelled and convicted. And so that was really probably the first switch that we took that was like a huge thing and took thought, right? Like, anybody who cloth diapers, you guys feel me, it's a lot easier now, but that's a learning curve if you're not used to that. And so that was really kind of the first step we took into switching and ditching, if you will, some of these products. And ever since then, it was just kind of this like spiraling thing. Now, something I did want to encourage you guys with, this is not something, like I mentioned, that you can decide to do it overnight. You're just gonna kick the habit and you're gonna just change everything. It's a gradual process. And so I really just want to take a second and encourage you guys, don't be discouraged by that. Know that each step you're taking forward is a huge step. Here we are, you know, 8 years into it, and most of my products have been switched over, but you're still gonna find single-use plastic in my house, and that's just it, you know? I mean, it's hard to do it all, but if you're making positive impacts, and those are slow, gradual impacts, there's still an impact. You're still making a difference. And so something that, as I've been talking about this more on my channel, I've been getting asked, well, what products are you using? You guys want to tangibly see something And so I have kind of gathered products from different areas of my house. I'm going to hit on them in hopes that you'll see one of these things and think, oh, that's practical. That's something that I can switch. That's something that I can do. And the whole idea by us reducing our plastic is to reduce our carbon footprint, right? So the idea is to reduce our carbon footprint, have a healthier planet that is going to allow us to grow more food, have more longevity, have healthier lifestyles. And there's a lot of different ways you can do this, you know, by growing your own food. That's a huge reason why we grow food. Very, very important to us. It's a huge reason why we compost. Composting is one of the biggest impactful practical things you guys can do. If you are throwing your food scraps away, you can get compost bins and set them on your countertops. You can have compost barrels, you can have compost piles. They even have them now where they're crank machines, and you can do that. And so maybe that falls in line with what you're doing more than maybe some of these other products I'm showing. Do that. It's super easy. You're going to have rich nutrient organic matter that you can feed back into your garden, which is going to produce amazing delicious food that we're going to get to eat, which is going to be good for our body. And so it really is just kind of like this wonderful marrying of a lot of different things. So one of the first products that I'd mentioned that we switched was from disposable diapers to cloth diapers. And then as Charlie began to get older and we started you know, buying utensils and bowls and plates, I just wasn't really happy with what was available. And so I started doing research, and I came across a company called Replay. And what they did was they took recycled milk jugs and they turned them into all of this like utensils and bowls and plates. And I thought that was really cool because sometimes it's inevitable, right? Sometimes you have to buy plastic, and maybe that's just what's available where you are. But knowing that there are ways that you can reuse this is really, really cool. So the fun thing about them too is they have lots of different colors and sizes. We have all of our kids, you know, dining ware, what they use is from this company called Replay. I'll tag all this below, but all of their plates look like this. They're just different colors. The bowls are all this size. We mix and match. And then they have these cool little sippy cups. They've got snack containers, all sorts of stuff. But of course, their packaging came in biodegradable packaging. These were made from recycled milk jugs, which was just, that's really cool to me. And so that was something that we immediately kind of switched over. The kids do also have these stainless steel cups, and the idea is just to prevent having, these are called Greenstalk cups. If you do have a plastic water bottle, but it is a reusable water bottle, that's fine. The idea of it just, once you can kind of get in your head, it's not a single-use plastic anymore. You know, switching over from a water bottle, a plastic water bottle, to a reusable water bottle is huge, and that's something that we try to teach the kids. You know, Charlie takes a hydro flask to school. June has one. When we're home, we're using these stainless steels. They're gonna last longer. They're just a lot better quality than a cheap plastic, so they're not cracking. You're not having to throw them out. I have also had some of the same sets of this dining ware for the kids since Charlie was 2. So Charlie will be 6 on the 5th, and so it obviously lasts for a really long time. That is one thing. We put it in the dishwasher. It's just really heavy duty, and I really appreciate that. So this was one of the first things that maybe you have kids and you're wanting to try to transition them to cleaner products. Just research it out, because you'd be surprised. Most of this stuff, I actually buy this on Walmart, but for a long time when I first started buying this, they didn't have it anywhere near me, and I had to order it online and have it shipped to me, and that's just what I did. Other reusable kitchenwares that we do is the Beeswrap. So this would replace your plastic wrap. We have also had this for a very, very long time. We buy the 3-pack, so it comes with the large. Here's a medium, and then I have a small somewhere else. I made this for a really long time. So I would buy organic material, and then I had a bunch of beeswax, and I would make my own, and it worked really well. So I don't want you guys also to get caught up in, oh, I have to spend money and I have to buy this product and I have to buy this product. Remember, it's a gradual transition, and you can also make this yourself. Through the years, and as much as we use it now, I buy it. A lot of times I spend Christmas money. A lot of times these are the types of gifts that I'm getting from my family around the holidays, or for my birthday or Mother's Day. And so people just are very mindful of that, and so I do appreciate that. We don't use paper towels. What we use is reusable linen or organic cotton napkins. We do buy these every few years, but for the most part, we just throw them in the wash. It's not a big deal. They last longer, and it's just not as much waste. For paper plates, usually a kid gets their plate for the day and we'll just rewash it, and that will be the same plate they use. We have our plates, and that may seem like a bit overwhelming, but once you get used to it, and it's not like we're grabbing a plate for breakfast, a plate for lunch, and a plate for dinner. We've got our plate for breakfast, we're rinsing it off and washing it, and we're using that same plate again for lunch and dinner, and same with the kids. Everyone's designated a cup for the day. Granted, I've got my coffee cup, and then I'll just fill up my water bottle, so we're really not, you know, just going through a ton of dishes. But once you've just kind of, you know, adjusted to like this is the normal, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal when people come over. We know we tag team dishes and it's not that big of a deal. We do also use stasher bags is primarily what I use. It's made out of a silicone. They're very, very heavy duty. Charlie has taken my stasher bags and hid them. I washed them and put them on the countertop and now they're gone. But I went to Target the other day and I was very, very surprised. I don't go to Target often, but they had an entire box of these freezer bags. So they're BPA free, freezer safe, dishwasher safe, and recyclable. So I grabbed a bag of the freezer ones and then the sandwich baggies. They were pretty inexpensive, and the idea that these are reusable, they came in biodegradable packaging, I thought was really, really cool. And so check out Target. I have found that they have a lot of products like that a bit more readily available in my area. So maybe if you're in a small area than like Walmart or something, but stasher is going to be a bit more expensive. Again, something I gradually buy. I'm not buying all of this at once, but it is a good idea because now what was going to be, you know, a single baggie and you throw away and you go through that really quickly, the plastic that's like on our planet doesn't ever break down. You know, it ends up in landfills, it ends up in oceans, it ends up just kind of all over the place. And the idea that you can use this, wash it out, clean it, and reuse it, you're saving yourself money, and essentially we're creating a greener planet by doing that as well. And then another super practical thing, however, this one is probably the one that is going to take thought process behind, and that is reusable grocery bags. So like I had mentioned, the plastic does not actually break down. Every piece of plastic that was ever created is still on this earth. And when you think about that in a whole, that's a lot of plastic. And so that's something that I try to remind myself, especially in the beginning when I would get overwhelmed and I'm like, well, I can only buy one reusable, you know, shopping bag. And I'm like, that one reusable shopping bag actually does make a huge difference when you think about the amounts of plastic. Like, you really are doing a huge thing. And so we have all sorts of different ones. We grab these at Trader Joe's when we go. These are like $6, really inexpensive. Nature Supply Company has a lot of really cute ones, so we grab a bunch. These are pretty heavy. The idea, I think, that really will kind of get you a step forward with reusable shopping bags, and this is where I got in trouble a lot, is I would buy them and I'd leave them at home. And so I would forget to put them in my car. I'd end up getting to the grocery store and I'm like, oh man, I have to use plastic. And so we keep all of our grocery bags. There's a set in Nathan's car and a set in my car, and I really feel like that kind of helps us not forget. And then with that, we have reusable produce bags. You can wash these and I just hang them to dry. You can buy lots of different sizes, and essentially instead of using the plastic produce bags that you get at all grocery stores, these are just reusable. I've got the drawstring. These last me forever. I mean, I have had my first set of these for years now. I just wash them and take care of them. And knowing that I can reuse them is really nice. And so I'll try to find some of these for you guys and link them below. Honestly though, you can get some of this stuff pretty inexpensive. Like, these are nicer. I am using these every single week, but I have bought some that were cheaper and they honestly worked really good. You can get some for like $10 or $15. And so when you think about spending that first investment, but then having them for years to come, it kind of makes a lot of sense. And then the last kitchen product I wanted to show you guys were just our brushes. Instead of buying a plastic brush, we just buy our bottle brushes, bamboo. All of these are actually just brushes. This is for fruits and veggies. And then this is a cup brush for the kids. And so we just try to buy bamboo products, and that is because bamboo actually requires 30% less water and produces 30% more oxygen to trees. So it is a really clean option. So when we're talking about a lot of different products, you're gonna see bamboo is what we are primarily choosing, and it's for that reason right there. I will mention too, most of our utensils in the kitchen are wooden. So we have like wooden tongs, we've got wooden spatulas and spoons. A lot of these we get at farmers markets, and that is something that I do want to hit on. If you grow your own food, you are having a huge positive impact on the environment, because of, instead of going to the grocery store and using all these different plastics and buying all these things and pre-packaged you know, things, you are actually just going out into your backyard and you're harvesting what you need, and it's going straight from farm to table, which is so incredibly cool. If you have access to a farmer's market, I'm going to encourage you, go to those farmer's market, buy your food based on the meals, that way there's less waste, and then you're able to take your bags and just fill them up. You're not even being tempted with a plastic bag or a plastic produce bag or something like that. So I am a huge advocate for farmers market. You're supporting the farmers, you're supporting what they're doing. It's healthier, you're reducing waste, and so that's something that we try to, you know, even when we go and buy like bulk things, we're taking jars to like Whole Foods and getting our bulk nuts, or getting, you know, bulk sugars or flours, and I know that that is like really kind of advanced. Like a lot of people probably don't want to go that far and do some of that stuff, and I understand, but if you are in a place where you have access where you can buy bulk like that, you can take any sort of reusable bag or jar up there. You can even take your jar to get your, you know, agave syrups or your honeys. And so you probably have access to some sort of store or place like that around you. I would encourage you just to seek that out and just go check them out. All right, so the next area I'm going to hit on is our bathroom products. This is actually where I did get asked a lot of questions. So we use these biodegradable, compostable bamboo Q-tips. I buy like 400 or 600 of these at a time. The cool thing about it is after we use it, it literally can go in our compost bin and it'll break down, which is really nice. So that's one of those that's a pretty easy thing to switch because they're cheap and inexpensive. And you know, when you think about buying just a regular plastic Q-tip at the store, you can buy these online for around about the same price. And then knowing that you can compost it and it's biodegradable is really kind of a win for win. And we also do bamboo toothbrushes. We buy these in bulk. We always keep them. The kids ones sometimes will have like different colors, you know, to color coordinate it. And what you do when you're done with this is you're just going to essentially cut the bristles off, and then you can take and reuse this bamboo stick if you needed to, or you can compost it and it will break down and return to your soil in about 6 months. So it really is cool because I'm thinking about the full circle here, right? Like I am taking my compost and I am dressing my garden beds that is, you know, adding all this rich organic nutrients. And so the fact that I am buying a toothbrush and when I'm done with it, I'm not just tossing it in the trash. I'm able to put it back in my compost bin, which is going to break down, which is going to add back to the soil. It's just, these are the things that like just get me really excited. These are the things that I think is just, when I think about the world as a whole, I'm like, wow, we live on a really cool planet. The fact that we can do stuff and have access to stuff like this is really incredible. And then I also use a bamboo hairbrush, same thing. I can get rid of this part, just rip it out whenever I'm done, and I've got the actual brush that can be composted and it will break down. And then same with our deodorants. We get this biodegradable deodorant. It's from Hammond Herbs and all natural ingredients. It's aluminum free, but then when I'm done, this entire package is just biodegradable, so, which is pretty nice. So here I've showed you guys just a few products that we use. So certainly not everything in our house that we use. There's certainly still a lot of things in our house that are plastics that we are on this journey for the long term, right? This isn't something, as we see a better option, we will replace that. And just know that like, this wasn't a overnight thing. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And so it has taken me many years to transition to where I am now. I think the idea is before you buy something to think about it. You know, same with like our animals and the food that we buy. I always think about, well, where did it come from? How is it raised? How is it produced? Am I comfortable with that? Same with the products in our house. You know, when I think about the plastic, okay, if I use this plastic, what happens to it after I get done with it? Can it be reused again? Granted, I had this conversation with my sister the other day, and she was like, I have every plastic grocery bag that I've ever bought. She's like, I reuse those things all the time. I'm like, well, good for you. If you keep your plastic sacks and you reuse those for something else, you are reusing. The idea is just to eliminate, you know, single-use plastic. Same with like plastic straws. If you have a bamboo straw or you have a stainless steel straw, that's really good. Just switching from a plastic water bottle to a reusable water bottle. Anytime we go into a restaurant that I know is going to serve me water in a plastic cup, I bring my own water bottle in. And some people laugh at that. They never say anything to me. And when they ask me, I'll just say, no, I brought my own. And no one is offended in the process. It's just stepping out in that boldness and being like, well, this is what I stand for. And I'm not arguing with anyone about it. They don't ask, they don't question, they're not mad, I'm not mad, right? It's just, I know that if I go someplace, they're gonna offer things that I'm not comfortable with, so I just bring something that I am comfortable with. So along with using reusable water bottles and things like that, I know many people may be buying single-use plastic water bottles because they don't have access to good water. Maybe you live on a well, or maybe your tap water's bad. Trust me, we've lived in places where like you just couldn't drink it, it wasn't good. We actually invested in a Berkey water filter. I'll link it below if you guys want to go check it out. It was well worth the investment for us. The top two things we use the most in our house is our Berkey water filter system and the espresso machine. So those were very good purchases, but we just aligned with what Berkey aligned with and what they believed in and stood for. And so it really just flushes out all the toxins, all the impurities. It gives you fresh, clean water. So maybe if you are buying, you know, bottled water just because you don't have access to good water, maybe look into some sort of really good purification filtration system for water, because I bet if you like put pencil to paper and figured out how much you were spending on that, you would realize that you would save yourself money in the long run just coming up with some sort of good water system. And so if you are comfortable using plastics, please do not think that this video was at all to be like, oh, you're wrong, because I'm sure you guys are killing it in other areas that I'm not. And so hats off to you. I think that the whole idea behind this is something I am really, really passionate about. I've been passionate about this for many years, and I've really never just married the two on my channel. And so that is something that I'm trying to do a bit better, is talk about these things to you guys, because it is a very large part of my life and has such a huge impact on my life. But the idea is to find what you're passionate about and pursue that like wild, right? And so this is something that I'm passionate about: growing food, being sustainable, teaching my children to go back to the garden. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what makes me tick. And I want to encourage you guys that if this isn't what makes you tick, find what does. Find what makes you happy. Chase after that with everything you have. If it is making you feel good and it's checking all those boxes for you, then it's worth pursuing. And for me, these are things that check my boxes. These are things that make me feel good when I go to bed at the end of the night. I do love the planet that we live on. I do want to make a huge emphasis on keeping it green, keeping it healthy, keeping our ecosystems going and thriving. Like, these are the things that I feel passionate about bringing awareness. And I'm really glad that I have such an amazing audience and platform to where I can talk about these things and feel love from you guys and support from you guys, even if it's not completely in alignment with what you may agree with. I just always appreciate how respectful you guys are. So thank you so much for that. But I hope that there was something in this video today that kind of grabbed your attention and you thought, oh, I can actually implement this in my home. This is something I can do. This is how I can make an impact. And if you've never heard of Earth Day before, I really hope that this challenges you to seek out events, see what's in your area, maybe do some research, see if maybe you could be the one that coordinated something in the future, because I definitely think that it is a day that is worth celebrating and worth recognizing. So thanks for hanging out with me. Happy Earth Day, friends, and I'll talk to you soon.